Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome to episode 34 of At the Coffee Table podcast. I'm Jason Klink, your host. At least every week I come on live with our live stream through StreamYard and host this podcast in hopes of just pulling up a virtual chair to the coffee table and the virtual coffee table and have a conversation about anything or everything and maybe come up with a solution or two. This week I have the pleasure of Blake Clark joining me from the Blake Clark team in Arizona. Blake is a successful real estate agent. Would you say Southeast Arizona?
Yep. Greater Phoenix area. We do the Southeast Valley of the Phoenix market, Phoenix, Arizona. Yep.
So Southeast Arizona, I just wanted to bring Blake on. Blake and I met virtually through the Instagram Power Method course. Blake's been doing a phenomenal real estate business with his team. He puts out fantastic content on Instagram. So I wanted to bring him on just to kind of pick his brain and kind of compare New York real estate to Arizona real estate, East Coast to West Coast, and see what's similar and what's different, and hopefully share a little bit of information. So Blake, thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
Awesome. So 2020 has been a year, to say the least.
It's been fun.
And I don't think it's been the year that any of us really expected. I know that, and I'm sure you can agree with that, we all started out January, February with goals and plans and what we were going to do in real estate, and then the pandemic hit. And I don't know what happened in Arizona, but in New York, we were shut down for 2 to 3 weeks. And then it was like, oh crap, now what? And then the end of April, the restrictions loosened up a bit. See, we have a monarchy here in New York. We're under King Andrew I. And he knows what's better for all of us. But that's a whole different podcast. But he loosened up the restrictions end of April, and real estate took off like a rocket ship and really hasn't come back down since. So I guess my first question is, has it been the same in Arizona?
It has. Yeah, I remember we've been pretty busy. I mean, we luckily we started out on a good foot anyways. Arizona is a huge hot spot right now for people moving here. We're seeing a ton of people from California because we're just one state away. So what we're running into in our market right now is just an extreme shortage of houses. There just isn't enough going around, especially in that first-time home buyer range right now, because as rental rates have gone up, interest rates have gone down. We're seeing a lot of people make the transition from the rental market into home ownership because it just makes sense for what you can qualify for a mortgage here with the interest rates being where they are compared to what you're paying for rent. It's actually cheaper to own a home in some cases now. So we're seeing a lot of people exit the rental market and become homeowners. However, they're competing with the market of people moving here from out of town. Like I said, we're seeing a lot of people from Minnesota, a lot of the snowbirds coming in and moving to Arizona, and then a ton of people from California right now are coming here to Arizona. So we're in a scarcity standpoint. So when this hit, our market was already going pretty hot. I remember we had 4 new listings go up that week, all went under contract, and then COVID hit, and every one of them canceled. Like that first week, I was like, oh man, This is going to be because everybody pulled out. Like I remember as soon as they kind of did the first lockdown, I got the email like, oh, canceled. I'm like, oh, okay. And then cancel. Oh no, that's 2 out of 4. Boom, boom. All of them canceled within the first week. But then what was crazy is like that after like the dust settled for the week, the next week, they all went right back under contract. And then Arizona, we went on lockdown, but it didn't really slow our real estate market down. They never traditionally they shut down our bars, our restaurants, the gyms and all that, but they didn't. Real estate in Arizona was still deemed an essential business, if you want to call it that. So we were still allowed to go out, show homes. I actually generated way more business because we had a lot of agents that were just quarantining. They're going to stay home. They weren't going out. So my team and I, just my personal opinion, I wasn't too worried about a lot of this. I'm young, I'm in shape, I'm healthy. I'm like, I'm not going to, stop my business for this. I got to work. And man, we got a ton of business picking up the slack of where a lot of people were just staying home and not going out. We were there and we listed, and we exploded this year. This year, I've already done double what I did last year in production, and I still have a whole nother quarter to go now on top of doing double. So I'll probably see about a 75% increase in business on my end this year. So
that's fantastic. Is there a distinct difference? And I think I know the answer to this, but is there a distinct difference between the price point in California, where you're getting this migration, and where you're at in Arizona?
Absolutely. Yeah. California prices are sky high, and you're going to pay for it. I'm sure it's probably similar to where you guys are, just kind of being a big, metropolitan city and close to the ocean, like California, California, the Oregon coast, any of those coastal cities on the West Coast, the states they're bringing big prices. But what we're seeing is people selling their houses out there. And I mean, they're coming out to Arizona and paying cash. I mean, to give you an idea, you can get a 3-bed, 2-bath, single family home in the Phoenix market for around, on the low side, 280,000, on the high side, up to 350 to 400 if it's in a really nice neighborhood, nice house. So, I mean, affordability here is there. So you're seeing people jump from one state to the other, where our housing price is like half what it is. So, they're getting rid of the traffic congestion that California has, all the crazy regulations and oversight and taxes that California has. And especially now at this day and age, and even more so, I'd argue, with COVID, now that everybody had to stay home and work. And I think as businesses are figuring out, like, wait a minute, our business can run with people working remotely. You're seeing people live in different states, but still be based out of. So, I mean, they're keeping their California salaries or whatever, but they're living in Arizona and maybe flying in once a month to, do some meetings, whatever. So we're seeing a big migration of people right now, from the affordability standpoint.
Yeah, we've had a bit of that conversation, because I'm in central New York near Syracuse, and with as hard hit as New York City was, and how as locked down as long as they were, it's the same thing. People, they were working from home, working virtually. All of a sudden, all that rent and lease, or even the real estate market prices in New York City, it became less favorable, from what I've heard, for them to even stay there, that people just started migrating out of this, that tri-state area down there in New York City. I haven't seen, or I haven't had a lot of contact with buyers coming from New York, downstate New York to upstate New York. I've heard that competition was there for us, but I've had more conversations with investors looking for property around this area. Because we're at a lower price point. I mean, our average price point in Syracuse is $180,000. But everything's creeped up. I mean, we're up 14% from last year with home values. I mean, houses, and we're same thing, scarcity, low home inventory, multiple offer situations. I listed a house locally. We had 25 showings in 2 days and 17 offers.
Sounds like our market. That's how ours is right now on that type price point.
It was insane. And that was a $200,000 house. These houses are going, people are offering $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 over asking, and they're still putting 20 or 25% down.
That's what we're seeing. Yeah, it's really weird. Everybody was, afraid of COVID, losing their jobs, and out of nowhere, I'm seeing first-time home buyers coming out paying, large chunks. It's like, where have you guys been these last 6-7 years?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we're going to pay full price, and we're going to waive the appraisal, or we're willing to go 6-7. And these are on like first-time home. I'm like, where is this money coming from you guys? But I'm not complaining, but we're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, and I think what happened was you had all these buyers that were saving. They're waiting. They were trying to time the market, whatever. COVID hit. They got scared they weren't going to be able to buy a house, or they were going to have to use that money to support their lifestyles. And I think it was just game on. We need to buy a house. We need to buy right now.
I think you're right. Yeah. That's definitely what it is. I have people ask me all the time. I was thinking I have people ask me all the time, well, what do you think the market's going to be like next year? I don't want to move in the winter, because here we got to worry about winter. So we shovel sunshine out here.
Yeah, I wish we had more liquid sunshine. So starting in like October, November, people are like, well, so I don't know what closing times are for mortgages in Arizona, but here it's 60-day closings.
We got ours are about average 24 out here, actually. It's one because of all the regulations. Yeah, if you go over 4 weeks. Yeah, if you go over 4 weeks out here, that's considered long in Arizona.
Because of all the regulation we have here, our closings take 60 days. Because of the mortgage rates, there was this huge push for refinancing. So anybody that had 4% or over, maybe 3.5% or over, now that the rates are sub 3, they had this huge push of refinances. So now you got all this huge push of refinances on top of the huge push of people wanting to buy a house. Everything is bogged down with the title companies, the survey companies, the attorneys, everything. So now our 60-day closings are taking 70 or 75 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now people are like, well, it's October, it's November. I don't want to move in December and January. What do you think the market's going to be like next year? It's like, who knows? The election's going to play a big part of it, and who knows what the market. I'm like telling, just watch. You just got to watch and keep your eye on it. If you're not gonna pull the pin now.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of investors, when the economy originally crashed in Arizona back in 06, 07, it was bad. I think we were one of the biggest affected states for foreclosures out here. So a ton of investors moved in, and they've been sitting on these rental properties for, I wasn't buying them then, but I do have rental properties I've been sitting on for 4 or 5 years now. They've seen some tremendous buildup in equity just in that short 4 or 5 year period. So we're actually seeing a lot of investors now with the market being where it is with that supply for those first-time homes, which are, in most cases, the rental properties. They're selling the rentals, which is causing a scarcity in rental properties. There's just not a lot of those out right now, an opportunity. So that's why we're seeing people go into home ownership out here too right now. That's playing a big part of it. I think a lot of people ask me that same question that you brought up. What's the market going to look like next year? And obviously none of us have a crystal ball. We can't. If you were to ask me in December, what's 2020 going to look like? It wouldn't have been this.
It definitely would have been this.
But with that being said, I do think all indicators are pointing. I think we're still going to see a pretty good year going into 2021 unless something crazy happens. But I would probably predict the interest rates are going to probably go up slightly. They've been pretty dang low, and I can see them, climbing back up. I do think the housing market's going to still remain strong, and prices are going to stay pretty strong because there's such a demand for housing right now. It's not overinflated through leveraging like there was in 2006, where people were pulling money out. People were pulling equity out to buy more and more rental properties. We're not seeing that right now. And at least I know in the Arizona market, our lending standards are really strict right now. I can confidently say, we've probably sold over 120 something houses this year. There's not people getting qualified for loans that shouldn't be not qualified for a loan. They're all very well qualified. If your credit's not where it needs to be, income verified, we get stuff denied all the time. So I think from the stability on the lending side, I think that's really good. So I don't see any issues there, and I just don't see, even when COVID hit, I had so many people sitting on the sidelines. Oh, we're gonna sit back and wait for the foreclosures, all the people losing their jobs. I'm like, no. Number one, people have a ton of equity in their house, so they're not going to foreclose. They may start the foreclosure process, but they're in a position where they can sell that house and walk away with some cash and not lose it going all the way through a foreclosure. So don't hold your breath on that.
Right.
And then secondly, I think that. Like I said, there's just such a demand in Arizona. We're so our average market. I know usually we've got 21 to 18,000 houses on the market at a given time in the Phoenix market on average over the last 6-7 years. And as of right now, we have 8,400, I think, right now. So, we're less than half what we usually have. I can't see that changing. And as long as there's going to be a demand for housing and people are looking to buy, there's going to be people buying houses out there, until the point where it just gets to be so unaffordable, and then it's time for a market reset. But I don't think we're there yet, personally. I still think it's
some of the things I see here, our inventory is down. I think it was I looked the other day. I think it was 13% lower this year than it was this time last year. It was low last year.
Right.
I think that the same thing, the foreclosure thing. First of all, and I tell people all the time, the foreclosure process takes years. So it could be 2 or 3 years from now before foreclosures start hitting the markets. People are in financial problems.
In Arizona, it's 6 months.
Oh yeah, here it's years. Literally, properties will sit vacant in pre-foreclosure and the foreclosure process for 2 to 3 years.
So everything for you guys is way delayed. It sounds like for buying and foreclosure. We do things fast out here. It moves.
I wish it was. I almost wish it was like that because I think it would help everyone, but. Even with that being said, I think and I was talking to a friend of mine that's a mortgage loan originator here, and she was saying that her biggest concern is that with all the refinancing and all the purchasing and going $20,000 and $25,000 over list price is the fact that in 2 or 3 years and you're not paying that off as quick, that you start
Yep.
losing the equity in your home. So in 3 to 5 years, people won't have that equity to be able to comfortably sell their home if they need to, because they're not going to get the cash out of it that they normally that they would right now.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. So it's definitely, and it's funny because I think back to like 2018 and all the experts. Oh, market's going to shift. It's shifting. We're going to go to a buyer's market. It's already started in New York City, going to a buyer's market, and nothing in 2019 was even remotely close to that. I mean, you probably know as well as I do. We started out a little higher in rates, but by the end of the year, they were pretty low.
Yep.
And then I didn't see as many of those predictions going 19 into 20, other than, we got to wait and see how the market is, blah, 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 but things should stay the same. And, now it's just, it is a really great time to be in real estate. I think there's still, and I tell people all the time, and it's in my content, that there's still a large group of buyers that couldn't find homes because they lost out on bidding wars in the summer. They're looking now. Some will buy, even here, will buy homes and not worry about moving in the winter because they want to buy the home that they find that they love.
Probably a better opportunity at that time when there's less competition out there for them. So.
Right. And I've had people say, well, I'm going to wait and see what the spring brings, buyers and sellers, and that's a typical conversation we have now here. It happens just about every year. Well, I'm going to wait and see what the spring brings because the spring is the buying market or the typical real estate market. But realistically, I've been doing this 3.5 years, and for 3 years, to me, it's been it pretty much stays even. It does. You don't have as long as the weather cooperates here, people will go out and look at homes in January. If the weather, if we don't have 10 feet of snow and 20 below, and it's decent, people will go out and look at homes.
If it rains here, that's usually when everybody stays inside, and that's like 2 days a year.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and on the flip side, you guys just came out of triple-digit heat for weeks on end?
Ridiculous. Yeah, we broke a record this year. It was almost 2.5, I think, almost 3 months. We didn't have, it was over 90 days, I think they said, where we didn't have a single day under 100 degrees, which is crazy. And we haven't had much rain out here. It's been a really oddly dry year. And then our entire state's been on fire right now. Like, we've just had fires out the yin yang, unfortunately.
Sure.
It's been so dry. I saw some funny posts the other day. They said our state bird was like one of those orange planes that drop all the fire retardant on the ground. That's like our new state bird now, which is kind of true. Pretty sad.
Yeah, and so with your market, what are the kind of the top things that people are looking for when they're looking for houses? Open concept, it has to have, central air or whatever. What are the top things that people are looking? What are the trends there?
Single level homes are always usually more desirable in Arizona, just because with the 2 stories, the air conditioning bill gets higher. You got square footage where heat rises. So in theory, people are, they want a single level just to help with energy costs in some cases. The biggest one, and I'd say majority, is always having a pool. Obviously, we're in Arizona, it's 100-something degrees. People got kids. So a pool is probably one of the most desirable features to have on a house in Arizona, because you could practically use it all year round. I mean, especially in the winter, it's only 50, 60 degrees in the middle of the day here. So, you can easily still have a pool that's like heated and use that all year round. It doesn't freeze, So, so the pool's desirable, single level. Usually out here, property has been a big one for us. We're seeing a lot of housing tracts go in out here right now, and I don't know what your guys' average lot size is, but like an average lot size on one of our housing tracts is like 7,500 square foot for a house out here. Where what we're seeing a really big shift in is, like, I live on the outskirts of town and kind of a smaller town, and it's just seen massive explosion in growth because the growth finally caught up as the city kind of developed out, caught up. It's now hit my town, and my town's really taken off. I'm in a small town called Queen Creek, which is, from central Phoenix, about 35-minute drive, all freeway. It's not far. But what we're seeing is houses that are on like acres, like acreage properties out here, are bringing really good money right now because new builders that are building all these tract houses in Arizona, they're not building houses on acreage anymore. It's just not, they make more money building a house on a smaller property because they can fit 4 houses on an acre versus,
Right.
So we're seeing that. That's really desirable if you can, but man, to get an acre, I mean, you're talking on a house in town on an acre or more, it's like $500,000 or higher now is what they're costing. So.
Wow. Yeah, I think I find it funny here because people will be like, well, I want open concept. Okay.
Yep.
But we live in a very old area. Like we have homes built in the 30s, 40s, 50s.
So you got to be remodeled.
Unless it's been remodeled or renovated and flipped, open concept's difficult to come by unless it's a home that's been built in the last 15 years.
Sure.
And then we have the same thing. People want to be able to spread their legs and have, spread their arms and legs and be able to have, enough yard and not, the new builds typically around here are like a quarter acre, for tenth to a quarter acre, because again, they try to put as many houses in the tract as they can. So colonial, and in the Northeast, colonials are a big deal. People like the space. They like over 2,000 square feet. And with heat rising, that's great in the winter. Here it's like with pools, you take it or leave it because you're only going to use it about 4 months out of the year. And even if it's heated, you're only going to use it like 4 months of the year because the days are short.
Got it.
So and we've had, surprisingly, over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of developments go up. We had Ryan Homes here for a while. They've since stopped building, pulled out, but now we have all these local builders. All these local builders buying up land and putting up housing tracts. So it's giving people the option from those old homes that were built in the 30s, 40s, and 50s to homes that are brand new. And initially, 5, 6, 8 years ago, Ryan was making it really affordable to get into a home. Now, granted, you get base model, you might not get your basement finished and so on, but they made it affordable to get into a brand new home, even post crash of 08. So I think and it's funny how the trends are similar when you because I've talked to agents in Florida, and in Florida, they've, even with as much COVID as they've had down there, they're still getting migrations down there from the north. They're still getting, snowbirds. They're still, their market took off like a rocket ship. It's been on fire ever since. So I think even though COVID created a shift for a lot in the financial industry and a lot in the business world, for real estate, we had to pivot a little bit, but it really, for whatever reason, for maybe multiple reasons, just did really well for the real estate market.
I think a lot of it was people were stuck at home. I mean, I know in conversation with a lot of my clients that I've talked to, they just realized they want something different in a house, right? Like you spend 3 months there with your kids. Everybody's there, you got a family of 4 or 5 people that usually it's like a revolving door. Kids are at school, mom and dad are home. The only time everybody's there is an evening for dinner or whatever.
Yep.
And then they're all of a sudden stuck at home. And man, I don't like my house. I want something bigger, different. They just want, and I think it just goes with the psychology of, when things are weird, what do people like to do? They like to shop. They like to spend money. You know what I mean? When just, they're not feeling good, they're going through some kind of depression. In general, I think the human psychology is I just want something different. So I think it's exciting, right? Sell my house, something new. They realize very quickly, maybe we need something bigger, or, now people, I think there's probably going to be more people working from home than there ever have been, because I think a lot of businesses, when they were forced to allow people to work from home, I think that they realized, like, wait a minute, this is probably pretty profitable. Why are we paying $25,000 a month for this office building when they can totally work from home and be fine and be managed? Just our business was just fine when they were working from home for 3 months. And now you got employees that's going to be their new reality is telecommuting. Well, man, now I need a house with an office. I need a space, So I think it really, if anything, it brought to light a lot of people's need in a house when they're stuck there for 3 months.
And they're going, oh crap, now I got to virtually instruct my children for school. So now I need a space so the kids can do school.
my wife just built a full-on friggin' kids, desk and cabinet area at our house for that reason with computers. It's their workstation. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a really interesting year. I'm trying to take the positive in it. I mean, there's a lot of things that sucked about this year, but overall, it's been a great year. Business has been good, so I can't complain. So
yeah, what helps us is when they're sitting at home and they're doing this.
Yeah.
And looking at websites or Zillow or whatever, and they're getting that itch of,
traffic's up like crazy on the home search sites right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, so what are the plans for the Blake Clark team going through the rest of this year and into 2021?
We're making a lot of changes. Honestly, it's been an interesting evolution. I started my team out about 3 years ago. I started off as a solo agent, got busy, and just said I need some help. I brought on a buyer's agent, brought on a full-time transaction coordinator. There's 3 of us, and then over the last 3 years, it kind of evolved into we got 10 of us now.
Wow.
It's been a good, the last couple of years have been good for me personally, just staying busy, scaling, building a brand, a lot of repeat business. It's been fun. I'm ready to do another challenge, just take on something bigger. I got a bigger vision and picture.
Yeah.
And a little bit of forward thinking. I mean, I'm very realistic with the real estate market and the fact that I think that not next year, but probably within the next 3 or 4 years, we're going to most likely see a market reset. It's due. Every economy is going to have it. There will be a point in time where the housing market has to reset, adjust. I do not think it's going to be nearly as bad as it was back in 2007, 2006, personally. This is a much different environment. This is just going to be a traditional reset or lull. With that being said, I think that there's going to be an opportunity. There probably will be some foreclosure activity increasing at that time, and houses sitting and whatever. So I think that my big picture now moving forward is we're going to basically launch our own brokerage is what the plan is. A friend of mine and I are. He's really big in the off-market purchase, wholesale, fix, flip, rehab. He does a lot of that. And then I do a lot of the traditional on-market scaling side of things. So we're going to kind of combine, and we want to offer a brokerage that gives an agent an opportunity when they come in to, kind of choose their career path for the most part. I think that's the one problem with a lot of these bigger brokerages right now is they're very traditional in one way, right? You go to a ABC brokerage, whatever. You go in and you just have their standard track. You might have a couple options here and there, but my thing is I really like just to give a menu option, because even me, I look back on my career when I got in and, what I wanted, I think when I got into real estate to where I'm at today, 2 completely different things. It's just all part of the process as with anybody goes through. So I want to offer something that gives agents an opportunity to better sharpen their skills and also be prepared for different economies. When that market does shift and it turns into a buyer's market and as sellers have to get out of their houses or foreclosures do happen, we got the cash buying side of things there to help bail people out quickly, get out, fix, flip, rehab, buy, so just a little forward thinking is what we're looking to do. And, probably change the structure up on our team a little bit. We talked a little bit about what that looks like, maybe going to a more set paid business model where we pay, bring in a buyer's agent or 2 and pay them a salary instead of making them straight base commission, because that's really hard for agents to make that transition, as in the business. I know for me that was the big worry, right? How do I leave my stable, steady paycheck to jump into a commission base? And then I think we all play that teeter-totter game where we're working our day job and then trying to get our real estate to take off at night. And the reality of it is very few of us can successfully pull that off. It's not as easy as I think a lot of people think it is. And I see a lot of people do the rubber band thing. They'll get into it, they'll do good, and then they get snapped back to that job security, and they never quite can get their career off the ground. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about that, and I think I'm going to move my team over, not my current team, but as we bring on new people, I think we're going to switch it now to a salaried position with, day-to-day expectations. So that way they got the steady upfront income coming in, but it gives them a year basically to come in, work for me, do the things needed to build a business, get really sharp on their career. And then hopefully by the end of that year, they've got it down pat. They've been paid. They got, a steady paycheck coming in, and they have a higher chance of success in this business and industry, which is important to me.
Awesome. All good things. I see great things for the Blake Clark team going into 2021. Well, Blake, I thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate all your insight, fantastic information that we're able to share today. How can people connect with you, social media wise or otherwise?
I'm all over social media, so easiest way to find me, my Instagram is Blake_sells_AZ, or you can just Blake B. Clark, and then same thing on Facebook, Blake B. Clark. That's my name on there, and I try to stay really active on both of them. I try to answer any questions if anybody has any. I'm always happy to chat, newer agents that are just trying to get in the business or need advice. I try to take whatever time I can out of my day to help out anywhere I can. So.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, if you're looking to buy or sell real estate in southeastern Arizona, check out Blake's team. They're doing fantastic work. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking to expand your brand on social media, look at Blake's content for him and his team, because these guys and girls got it down. And I can say that with firsthand knowledge. So, Blake, thanks again. I appreciate your time here today, and we'll have to do it again maybe next year and see what the markets are like.
Let's do it. Yeah, anytime, man.
Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. This is episode 34 of the At the Coffee Table podcast. I appreciate Blake's time, and we have been able to pull a chair up to the table and discuss a little bit about everything in real estate. And I hope you got some out of it. Please like, comment, share it across the board. Look for it on Anchor and Spotify and the audio version. And it's also on Facebook and YouTube. With that, everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a great day.
Hey, guys.